make sure to check out Jake's podcast. Just search for Blackstone Intel Report on your favorite podcast provider. Jake doesn't just entertain, he teaches. Blackstone Intel reports are often so densely packed with information that it can be hard to take it all in. If you'd like copies of Jake's Blackstone reports, become a paid subscriber of $5 or more at Substack or Patreon. Way you can support Jake's work is to become a Blackstone Intel channel member on YouTube. Click on the Blackstone profile picture and look for the button that says Join. You'll see different pricing options as low as $3.99 per month. This will give you access to perks, including loyalty badges and custom emojis that only members can use during live streams. Jake's live streams include segments designed for paid channel members to show off their status and use their exclusive emojis. So sign up today to become a Blackstone Intel channel member.
In a world of smokescreens, psychological warfare, and carnival barking liars in press suits, the truth is harder to find than a congressman with a conscience. It's all a bunch of damn lies. But here at Blackstone Intelligence, Jake don't chase the narrative. This crazy sumbitch dismantles it. Y'all, my boy grinds official stories up into fine powder and snorts that sweet schnitzel to fuel his fire. Are you starving for facts the global elites don't want you to hear? You got the munchies for intel you won't hear from all them war pig politicians. Well, sit back, spark up your brainstem, and prepare to inhale the intoxicating fumes of unfiltered truth. Let's get Blackstone.
All right. Hope you guys are ready to get Blackstoned out there. Good evening to you all. I am Jake Blackstone. What's up, everybody? Nice to see you. Look at all of these awesome people in the chat. Joel Dalton, hello, good sir. Hey, Joel, did you get the thing that I sent you? I can't remember when I sent your thing. Was I sending you something? Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat. that uh, I totally screwed up with not this last live stream, but the one before it. I thought I had sent out, I know I packaged some stuff up, the prizes that people won in that show. And then I marked, I keep stuff on my files here. I marked that I had sent it out, and then I found some of it. So I think that there's a couple of people that either haven't gotten something or have gotten a couple of things. In fact, a couple of you may end up with two of the same prize. Sorry about that. You just get to double your pleasure and double your fun. So a couple of you, I sent out stuff yesterday. Some stuff went out today. But the main person I'm looking for is, I think somebody won a Blackstone cap. And yeah, so Joel says, I haven't given you my address. I did send you an email. All right, that could be it. Somebody out there, I've been waiting on an address to send a prize out to. So no pressure. But if you want your stuff, I need an address. So jake@blackstoneintel.com if you need it. Somebody asked out there about my microphone. I don't actually remember. It's been years ago since I bought this microphone. I'll have to look at it and see. Speaking of which, I got my volume cranked up this time because I had multiple people last stream who said that it was too quiet. Some people said they could hear fine, but some others couldn't. So I got it cranked up, and to me it seems too loud, but I'm not on the listening end, so let me know out there in the chat if it's too loud, if I'm clipping because it's too much. But anyway, thank you all to those of you who sent out letters this week. I sent out responses today to a bunch of people, and as well as getting out some of these overdue prizes. Now, if any of you out there are just dying to send me a letter, you know how much I love getting viewer mail. So write to me at Blackstone Intel, P.O. Box 1333, Kernersville, North Carolina, 27285. And if you want me to, say, review a book or some product that you sell or something like that, or if you just want to send me an envelope filled with anthrax, just use that same address, and I'll make sure and give you all individualized attention. So here's tonight's show format. The main story is going to be about 30 minutes. We're going to talk about how a high school girl fight, how a scrap between a couple of girls fighting over a boy led to the downfall of Jeff Epstein. Because pretty interesting story. Hate mail too. Listen, you got to take the good with the bad, and sometimes the hate mail is way more entertaining than anything else. So yes, definitely send the hate mail. Send the hate mail. After we do the main topic tonight, I'm going to share a 5-minute movie review of a great movie, dated movie from 1974 called The Parallax View. Good conspiracy movie. After that, we're going to do our 2-minute music interlude that allows folks to chime in, toss some super chats in if you want. Anyone who donates $1 or more during the show will be eligible to participate in tonight's Hangstein game with a chance to win a prize. Why do we call it Hangstein? Because Epstein didn't hang himself, nor did this air freshener hang itself, which is one of tonight's prize options. And we'll discuss that a little bit more. Hangstein, in case you are new to the program, is our version of hangman. And the answer is usually related to a CIA operation. is the general clue. But wait, there's more. As much as I love the $1 donations like Joel just popped in for us there, to make the channel viable, I gladly accept larger donations. I know that that's big of me. But out of the generosity of my heart, I do accept additional donations. Now, anybody who donates $5 or more during the show will be entered in. Not only will you have the opportunity of playing Hangstein, but your name will go in the biohazard jar, and I will draw an additional name at the end of the show. And you will have a chance at an additional prize, and I'll tell you some of those prizes later on. And if you're someone who's like, I want to give more than $5, absolutely. If you give more than $5, for every $5 you donate, you will get an entry in the drawing. So, for example, if you give 10, you get 2 prize entries. All right? So I'm just going to pop up here real quick this how to donate. These are the options. Super chats are great, and those are the ones that I see easiest during the show. But other ways that you can donate if you don't want to pay through YouTube, if you want to be entered into tonight's prize drawing, is you can go to, if you look on your screen, whether you're on your phone or whatever, your laptop, you should see by my channel name somewhere a link to join. I'm also putting the link in the chat. This is to YouTube channel members. So you can become a YouTube channel member. You can go to patreon.com/BlackstoneIntel and subscribe there for $5 or more. You can subscribe to my Blackstone newsletter. I do reports there. That's at blackstoneintel.substack.com. I've got a new report going out tomorrow, as well as the information in tonight's show. The transcript with some additional sourcing is going to be sent out also on Substack. If you're old school, want to do PayPal, paypal.me/BlackstoneIntel or buymeacoffee.com/BlackstoneIntel. So I'll just pop this up here for a minute. So these are the many, many options for donating. Now, one last thing before we get into our main story, and thank you out there. Joel gave his, and then Mike said $1 is an insult. And so Joel came back with $10. Take your grift money, he says. Joe Who popped in his $2. Thank you, Joe. And then Jess Phil, $5. Appreciate you, Boo Bear. I enjoyed your last stream. Very informative. Yeah. Hey, listen, I need to get that material out as a Blackstone report. Lots of information in that one. Absolutely. Before I get this main story going, I want to reach into the Blackstone mailbag for just a second and share a couple of comments from folks. Let's see here. Where did I put it so I can see it on my own doggone screen? Just in case you can't read that. Where'd it go? Also, I'm going to be sharing a couple of voicemails. Okay. So, couple messages. Risha says, you are the one person who made history absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Jake. And thank you, Risha, for your longtime support. Holly says, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you, Jake. Stop being a stranger. We need your commentary during these times. Thank you. And I will. Level 99 Dust says, Who else goes this hard and this level of depth for 5+ hours? You are an American treasure, brother. Your work is pivotal. Appreciate the hell out of you, brother. So last live stream, I said, look, my goal is an hour, maybe 2 hours. It ended up being 6-hour live stream because I can't shut up. I promise tonight I will not go that long. And also, I had some requests from some people saying, look, I can't sit through 6 hours. Why don't you chop it up and publish it that way? So I'm going to also do that. Some of these live streams, I'm going to go back, even some content that maybe you've seen recently. I'm going to go back and take these really long live streams that I do and cut them into segments and just have like, here's the main information and publish that on YouTube. And here's maybe this side story rant I got off talking about this for 15 or 20 minutes and publish that. That way people can have bite-size. Oh, yeah. And Joel's out there in the chat throwing down to Mike. Mike says $1 is an insult. So Joel's put his money where his mouth is and says, over to you, brother. Yeah. Yeah, we got some heat. Got some folks out there talking smack. Mary says, glad to see you back, Jake. I missed your podcast. Here's about $20. Hopefully they can go towards something. Love you. Bye. Hey, thank you, Mary. That's awesome. And anybody that is out here in the chat, I know, the show goes on a while and I do the drawing at the end. So, but Mary, you get 4 entries, one entry per $5. So thank you so much. Marvin Vargas says, appreciate you, Jake. Welcome back. Please have Ryan Dawson on. I don't know if I've ever talked with Ryan. I think in the past we may have chatted a couple times, but anyway. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation. Let's see here. Mailbag. Oh yeah, I was glad to get this note here from SJR7822. This is off topic. Thank you, Jake. What a great surprise to my mailbox. Your grandmothers did a fantastic job guiding you along life's path to be so thoughtful. You fulfill more than my wish. What sweethearts. Talking about my twins. Best to you and your family. Absolutely. Yay. And you got a bee, which is the mascot for my soccer team that I coach. The bees. The killer bees. Claude Holtzclaw writes, congratulations on your new grandchild. My grandchildren are having children, making me a great-grandfather. I now have 2 great-grandchildren. Holy smokes. We got great-grandfathers watching this show. Can you guys believe? I'm 51 years old. I have 4 grandchildren now. 4 grandchildren. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. To me, though, you know how it is when you're younger and you just think, grandparents are like the old people. And then you get to that age and suddenly it doesn't feel so old anymore. And I know that my youngest son, who is 14, I'm sure he thinks I'm like, geriatric, about to fall over and crumble into dust, but enjoy it while you can. New Jersey Devil writes, I forgot how nice your reading voice is. Oh, I got to start over. I forgot how nice your reading voice is, Jake. I used to listen to your ASMR videos. Yeah. Did you guys know I used to do an ASMR channel? There's a lot of traumatized people out here that struggle with insomnia and psychosomatic illness. Would you consider making some more of those videos? Hey, well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, maybe so. In fact, now, here's the thing. Talking about, say, Jeff Epstein or Donald Trump or any of that kind of stuff, even if it's ASMR, may not be the most consoling to folks. But it's not a bad idea to do some other stuff. So I'll tell you what. You give me some ideas, either in the comments after the show or email me at jake@blackstoneintel.com. I may go do some more videos like that. that are not, not triggering type topics. I've already got plans in place to do some creepypasta type classic horror stories. Like I'm writing backstories for some of my favorite old movies, like the old Universal monster movies. The little girl, for example, in the 1931 Frankenstein movie. The creature goes to the edge of the lake, and there's a girl, and this scene where they're doing the petals. She's picking petals and tossing them in the water, and he's got a flower sitting there, and he runs out of petals and looks around and doesn't have anything else, and he thinks, well, she's as pretty as a flower, and he tosses her in and drowns her accidentally. Well, anyway, I've written a whole backstory for who this girl is and her family and the aftermath, and anyway, so I'm going to be doing some stuff like that that's totally unrelated to my Blackstone intelligence stuff. So I could probably also do some of the other things. Stephen, hey, Stephen out there in the chat. Thank you very much, Stephen, for your donation. In fact, I won't say your age. You're not young, you're not old, you're kind of in the middle, but I got your email and read it, and was thinking about you today. Anyway, Mike H said, I posted, the ball is back in your court. Question was about AI and how fast it is growing, and are they building data AI centers? Any thoughts? Without getting deep into that, Mike, I'll tell you what I should do is let me screenshot, and that would be a topic for an entire video. Otherwise, I could get way off and never get to tonight's topic. Thank you for the donation. We'll get you entered into the drawing. But yeah, the AI is freaky scary. What they're doing, the collection of our data, the profiles they're building on us. But we'll talk about that separate. All right, now I do have here. I get dozens of comments a day. These are just some of the more recent ones, just random ones I picked over the last 2 weeks. So I'm sorry if you guys write to me in the comments on YouTube and I don't get back to you on it. I just don't have there's just too much. I can't keep up on top of all of it. But anyway, sorry about that, but I do appreciate it. So here is, you guys will remember that I started last week a hotline that you can call. I'm going to put that phone number back up here. 1-303-900-FART. That's 303-900-FART, which I think is 3278. Yes, it's a real phone number. Call now operators are not standing by, but if you'd like to leave a voice message, you're welcome to call. I will not answer that number. That's not one that I actually call from. Just a number for getting voicemail messages. But if you do want to leave me a message, whether it's nice or hateful or perverted, whatever, you can leave it there. Just know that any message that is left on that voicemail is subject to being shared publicly. Here's just the first couple of voicemail messages that I got. Nothing special, but hey, let's listen.
Hey, Jake. Great show. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I tried to donate on YouTube, and I wasn't able to for some reason. Just wanted to leave a message and say thank you, and please cover MK Ultra. Thank you.
MK Ultra, one of my favorite topics.
It's still, the audio is really low.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to hear.
Yeah, here, let me play this from the beginning. This is someone else telling me about the audio last week.
Hello, Professor Blackstone. This is Scott from Pennsylvania, and I'm a truck driver, and it's noisy inside my truck, and I had my window rolled down, and I couldn't hear you. I had to roll the window up, and it's still, the audio is really low, and it's really hard to hear. Like, if I was in a quiet room, it would be easy to hear, but I'm struggling to listen in this noisy truck. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, so hopefully it's better this week, but we'll see.
Oh, Jakey Poo, this is your mother. Don't forget to change your underwear.
All right, Mom, I will make sure next time. I'm still wearing the underwear from 2 weeks ago, but next time I will make sure. So if anyone does decide to leave a voicemail, do it at 1-303-900-FART. And now let's go ahead and get into tonight's program. I'm going to go ahead and remove this picture here and bring up the chat. So let's talk about Jeff Epstein. Do you guys remember back in, I think it was 2019, one of the t-shirts that I made, I designed one called Dr. Rapenstein. That was before he was killed. But after he was dead, I stopped selling. It was Electrocute Dr. Rapenstein was my t-shirt. But anyway, I was tickled by it at least. All right, Epstein was picked up on July 6, 2019 on federal charges of sex trafficking minors, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. This was the second time. He was originally picked up back in the 2000s earlier, and then got a sweetheart deal. But the one that led to his demise or disappearance, depending on where you are on the conspiracy spectrum, it happened July 6, 2019. What had happened was that at least a dozen new victims had come forward claiming that they had been sexually abused by Epstein. So following his arrest, about 4 women got in contact with New York attorney David Boies. And let me tell you, the person who hates David Boies probably more than anyone else on earth is Alan Dershowitz. But anyway, at least 10 other women had contacted lawyers. And these various lawyers, collectively, they were representing dozens of other victims of Jeff Epstein. One of those lawyers was Jack Scarola, a Palm Beach attorney. And Scarola said that at least 5 of the women that he was representing were still minors at the time that Epstein had molested them, and that they had gotten in touch with him, or actually also with Fort Lauderdale lawyer Brad Edwards, who was another big attorney representing a lot of the victims. So about a dozen victims came forward after Epstein was arrested in July 2019. So he's in big trouble back then. This is not like it was in 2006, 2007, around then. This was way worse than 2019, what he was facing. And because the charges against him were so much worse, and there were so many victims, the concern was, he's going to play ball. He's going to flip. He's going to give some dirt in order to either get a lighter sentence or get out of it entirely. And from an intelligence operative perspective, that's when you want to knock this guy off before he can start giving a state evidence to qualify for some kind of deal, right? So Epstein petitions the court to let him, instead of staying in jail, let him stay in his $77 million mansion while awaiting his trial. And the court's like, you're too big of a flight risk. In fact, we're not even going to give you bail. So Epstein, trying to get bail, he says, look, let me put my mansion up, my New York mansion, $77 million mansion, put it up as collateral in case I skip bail. Hey, Dennis says, good evening, Senator Jake. Dennis, I sent you something today in the mail. So prosecutors, though, they were like, listen, you don't want to do this. Epstein knows that his mansion is going to be seized to help pay out to these victims if he loses his case. So this is not really any collateral. He's going to lose it anyway, unless he wins the case, which is, there's no chance in hell that he was going to win. Too much evidence, too many testimonies from witnesses. So the evidence that the FBI collected when they raided his mansion just in July of 2019 was unbelievably damning. At the very least, what they identified, what they told the public they had, was thousands of sex photos of Epstein with himself, with a lot of these underage girls. So the dude was toast. Hey, Seymour, dropped your name on Jimmy Dore's stream via Super Chat about having you on, trying to get you the JD bump. One of his staff made notes. Hey, woohoo! Yeah, I'd love to talk to Jimmy Dore. I have to set him straight on Trump, but but anyway, so Epstein is toast. He was 66 years old at the time he was arrested. So even if he got a fraction of the potential 45-year sentence that he was facing, it was basically going to be a life sentence. At 66, put him in prison for 20 or so years, probably wouldn't live out the sentence. A couple other, I'll come back and read these additional messages in a minute, guys. The super chats. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So anyway, prosecutors were arguing that with his vast fortune that he had, which at the time of the court filing in 2019 was estimated at around $500 million, with all of Epstein's powerful connections around the world. He had connections. He even had an apartment in Saudi Arabia. This guy had places all over the world. He posed the mother of all flight risks. So the court agreed, no bail. Sorry, Jeffy, no bail for you. As a side note, Epstein's 21,000 square foot New York townhouse used to be a prep school for rich kids called the Birch-Walton School. I'll show you who lived across the street from him later on. You might find it interesting. So anyway, the walls are tumbling down around Jeff Rapenstein. So I'm fascinated by this story. I've been reporting on Epstein for years. Before 2019, I had been reporting on Epstein for years. And it really looked like Trump's Secretary of Labor, the guy who ended up resigning in disgrace, Alex Acosta, had done his fair share in keeping Epstein from getting into too much trouble from the previous case. But now he's back in court and he's in trouble. But anyway, back in 2019, I wanted to know how all of this got started again, because he had been evading justice for years. It had been a decade since he was dealing with any legal matters. So I was curious, what started the dominoes falling for Epstein in 2019, but also what exactly happened in the first place? How had he been getting away with this satanic child abuse for so many years? What is it that finally got the ball rolling? I needed to know. And so I did what you're supposed to do as a journalist. I dug in. I pulled primary records to piece this story together. I pulled the Palm Beach police investigation reports. I got their probable cause affidavit, which is brimming with information. I pulled the court records. I even reached out to a few people who had familiarity with the case, had direct involvement in the case. So I started putting information together. And I'm going to tell you this story. This is how Jeff Epstein fell from grace. And trigger warning, I mean, we're talking about some dark stuff here, abuse of teenage girls. So just want to give you fair warning. That is what we're going to be talking about. I won't be graphic, of course. But let's go back to March 15th of 2005. The Palm Beach police officer named Michelle Pagan, she gets assigned a fairly simple case. In fact, I think, if I remember right, I think this was her first case that she had been assigned to. She was fairly new. But this was a case that was going to explode into something absolutely nightmarish. The case that she got was a high school brawl that happened about 30 minutes away. 30-minute drive away. There was this 14-year-old Hispanic girl. Now, I'm just going to call her Mary. The reason I'm going to call her Mary is that she is one of those few. She is one of those victims who has never wanted her name to be published. And so we don't know her real name. It's still sealed. So I'm just going to call her Mary. 14-year-old girl. She was Hispanic. We know that. Anyway, she gets into a pissing match with another girl who had been making moves on Mary's boyfriend, Joe. These girls start throwing insults back and forth. They're calling each other whores at school. You know how it goes. Before you know it, Mary has got a handful of this other girl's hair. They're having an all-out cat fight. All the school kids gather around, fight, 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 fight. Next thing you know, Mary is plopped down in the principal's office being interviewed. And the principal is trying to get Mary to talk, about the incident. She's tight-lipped. One of the things that she is being asked about by the principal is, why are you carrying $300 in $20 bills in your wallet? The reason the principal is asking this is because this is Florida. I'm originally from Miami. First time I ever saw cocaine was the cute girl Samantha sitting in front of me in 6th grade, turned around and told me she had cocaine. I'm like, yeah, it's sugar or something. And I got some. She gave me some. I put it on my tongue. My tongue went numb. I'm like, holy crap, that's cocaine. But anyway, that was Florida. And that was back in the 80s. So anyway, the principal suspects that because drug dealing is so common, she must be selling drugs because she's got this wad of $20 bills. So the school calls Mary's parents to ask if she's involved in drug dealing. If she's using drugs, if she's dealing drugs. Her dad says she's not doing drugs. She's not selling drugs. No. So they bring in the school psychologist to talk to her. And the psychologist manages to get Mary to open up a little bit and talk about some of this. And so Mary tells the psychologist where she got the money from. That there's this powerful man who lived in a Palm Beach mansion, and he gave her the money. Okay, why is a rich guy giving you money? She wouldn't talk about it. She's not going to say why he's giving her money. She kind of said a little too much already, she realizes. So the school recommends that Mary be transferred to a facility for troubled kids. They call the police to get involved because they know there's something more here. Something's going on. Now, I'm going to skip my traditional diatribe about the unconstitutional power of public schools and social workers that snatch kids away from their parents without sufficient evidence. So I'm going to skip that tangent and just stick to what happened when the police got involved. So the police are assigned this case. Officer Michelle Pagan, she calls Mary's parents and asks them to come in and talk. So she's talking to the parents. The parents are like, look, she's a good girl. The fight doesn't make any sense. The odds are absolutely zero that she's involved in drugs. Nothing for the police to be concerned about. Now, that's pretty common. Parents don't always know what their kids are into, and that's certainly the case here. Now, Officer Pagan, she's never handled any big cases before. She's young. She's fairly new on the job. She starts to hear whispers around the office that the detectives think that there's something big going on here with this case. And they're saying, maybe this newbie is not the person that should be assigned to this case. Turns out that some of the cops there were already aware of Epstein and had covered for him. But anyway, Officer Pagan goes and interviews Mary not once, but twice. She finally opens up about the source of the money. She says this guy paid her cash for what was supposed to have been a massage. Now, I'm going to read a transcript here. I'm going to read you exactly from the police transcript that I pulled. This is what Mary said. She said, this white-haired guy came into the room wearing only a towel around his waist. He took off the towel, and then he was naked, and he laid down on a massage table. He was a really built guy, but his wee-wee was very tiny. Now, that's actually what she said. And she may have said it in a silly way, but she called it a tiny wee-wee. And she explains that the man, when she goes in to do this massage, that he speaks to her in a very firm, commanding voice. He tells her right off the bat to take off her pants. She's only wearing a G-string, but she obeys the instructions. She straddles this guy's back while she's massaging him so that her exposed bottom is touching his. But then she tells the police in this transcript that the guy turns onto his side and starts to pleasure himself. Then he pulls out a purple vibrator and starts to massage it on her private parts. And he does this until he completes. She said from the transcript, he used a towel to wipe himself down as he got off the table. Which is something that is repeated. Like this whole scenario that she told the cops, the reason that we know that this is accurate is because independent of Mary, several other victims who had never spoken to each other gave almost exactly the same story. The same thing happened. So she said that the guy gave her $300 in cash for the massage. She got dressed, went downstairs, got back in a truck with a person named Wendy and went home. And that $300 cash is what was in her wallet that the school discovered when she got into that cat fight with the girl. Now, this, folks, is how it all started. A high school girl fight. But there's a lot more to the story of Mary, and I'll share that with you because it helps us to understand how Jeff Epstein was acquiring these girls to begin with. I want you to see the inner workings of a real child trafficking operation so that you can, know what to look for. If you know youth, if you know young people, especially young women, and there are certain behaviors or things, if you understand how this works, you might be more apt to recognize it. Unfortunately, a lot of well-intentioned parents don't recognize warning signs or things with their kids that may be in bad situations. And you wonder, how are these parents not doing anything? Well, sometimes they just don't see it. They're busy with their lives or whatever. I don't want to make excuses, but, sex trafficking is a big problem. And it's something that has pissed me off for years. This is one of those things where I've investigated it off and on for a long time. And never ceases to just really tick me off. So anyway, 14-year-old Mary, she's got a boyfriend named Joe. Mary's father is a Cuban immigrant. He liked Joe, liked him just fine. He also knew that Mary hung out with Joe's cousin. And Joe's cousin is the girl, Wendy, that she went with, a girl named Wendy Dobbs. Mary's father wasn't as fond of Wendy as he was for Joe, and for good reason. We'll talk about Wendy's backstory maybe in a different episode, but for tonight, I'll just say that Wendy was 18 years old, and she was earning money as a recruiter for Epstein. So Mary's cousin, Wendy, she was 18, and she was making money by bringing girls in to Epstein. One day when they had been hanging out together, her and Mary, she mentioned, hey, I got this way, you can make some money if you want. And Wendy was straightforward. She said, look, Mary, there's this rich guy. He'll pay you about $200 or so for an hour of massage. Wendy is the one who told Mary, you need to he's going to have you do it in your underwear. So wear something, be prepared for that. And then she told her, look, you get $200 for a basic massage. You'll earn more if you do favors for him. If you got physical with him, for example, straddling him during the massage, letting Epstein fondle her, she would get more. If they had all-out sex, then she would get even more than that. Mary wasn't ready for sex on that first trip, but she did anticipate taking her clothes off. That's why she had the G-string on under these tight white jeans, is what the police report said. So Mary lied to her boyfriend, Joe, about what this job entailed. She said she's just going to go get paid for doing a foot rub, is what she told him. That's the most that she or Wendy would tell Joe about. In February 2006, Wendy picked up Mary in her truck, drove to Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, which was at 358 El Brillo Way. This is 1 mile. I think it's exactly 1 mile from Trump's Mar-a-Lago property. I drove it, and I think I clocked it right at exactly 1 mile. If you're on the Mar-a-Lago property, you pull out of the, I don't know which, I think it's on that would be, the ocean is behind you. So it'd be on the east side. Pull out, make a left out of the property, out of Mar-a-Lago, drive down 1 mile, just a tiny little side road. There's, I think, 2 houses down this little side road, El Brillo Way, and Epstein's was one of them. Great big place. It felt really eerie being there. This is after he's dead, was when I visited his place there. They ended up tearing it down. But anyway, so they get to El Brillo Way. When they get to the mansion, Wendy tells a security guard, because Epstein's got guards there, that they're there to see Jeff. The guard leads them to the side door where the kitchen is located. And the 2 girls enter the kitchen. Mary sees a middle-aged man who has a long face, silver hair, and it's Epstein. He was 52 years old at that point. 38 years older than Mary. Okay, freaking pervert. Standing behind Epstein is a young woman. She's very pretty, blonde-haired woman, pretty tall. Her name is Sarah Kenner. I'll talk also, if you guys want me to do subsequent episodes about all this Epstein stuff, I'll tell you about Sarah Kenner. Basically, she worked for Epstein as a hostess at his Palm Beach home. She would take the girls up and back to Epstein's massage room for this. So she was certainly a part of it. So Epstein is there in the kitchen, has a few moments to look over Mary, gives approval for Sarah to escort her upstairs. And as they go up the winding staircase, which was covered in pink carpet, they go down a hallway. Mary tells the police that she saw photographs all over the walls of naked women, and that a lot of them were as young as she was. Remember, she's She's a young teenager. So Sarah takes Mary to a room. It's got a massage table in the middle of it. We now have photos of that room have been made public with the massage table. And against the wall, there's a wooden table that's got some sex toys on it. Against another wall, there's a green and pink sofa. But on the other side of the door is an entrance into a large bathroom. And so Mary's in here looking around. You got the smell of lavender oil filling the air. All these pictures of young girls around. Mary said that one of the pictures shocked her because the girl looked like really young. She said she looked much younger than she was. So she's standing there looking at these pictures. She hears someone come in behind her, turns around. There's Dr. Rapinstein wearing nothing but a towel. And you know the rest. I told you how that went. So Mary ends up getting some help before her second scheduled visit to the Epstein home. Epstein probably would have seen her sooner. You know, he saw her the first time. She was planning on going back. Who knows what would have happened that next time? Probably would have escalated. But Epstein ended up having to leave. He went down to his $8 million retreat in the U.S. Virgin Islands on Little St. James. But Epstein was voracious. I could talk about it in another video, but he cycled through these young girls on an industrial scale. He was having sexual encounters up to 3 times, 3 different girls, young girls in the area, up to 3 different girls a day. And that's why he needed Sarah Kenner to run things, because it was just crazy. He couldn't manage all of that on his own. Or at least he didn't want that. Well, in an almost uncanny coincidence, just a few days after Mary told Officer Pagan about her experience with Epstein, another child victim ends up at the police station. And her story is even more tragic than Mary's. Now, I'll let you tell me in the chat. I'm not going to go into that tonight, but because I want to keep the show condensed enough. But let me know in the chat, do you want me to do more coverage of Epstein's backstory or not? Yeah, it's ugly stuff. But if you want to know more, I got a lot of material I put together. I was originally going to put it all into a book, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to. Of all the things I could make money on, I don't want to do this. So I think I had stopped around, I got to about 100 pages of material. I was like, nah, I don't want to do anymore. Let me know in the chat, though. Joe Who says yes. And while I'm waiting for some more responses from you guys about whether or not you want me to cover this some more in other episodes, Martin Vargas said, please have John Mark Dugan, the Palm Beach cop, lives in Russia, friend of Detective Joe Reckery. Yeah. I talk a lot about these guys in the stuff I had worked on. Friend Joe, let's see. Please have John Mark Dugan, lives in Russia, friend Detective Joe Reckery was killed. Yeah. Thank you, Marvin. Tabitha Timbuktu, thank you for the donation, Marvin and Tabitha. Tabitha says, hello, Jake. I was looking for your videos regarding the Las Vegas shootings. I can't find them. Do you know where I can? You're the best. Most of them are not online anymore. There's probably some scattered around here or there, Tabitha, but yeah, got me in a lot of trouble. Got the FBI after me. Let's see. Let me read through other. Ernie Truth says, appreciate the info as always, Jake. Hope you're well, my friend. Ernie, I'm always good when I get to see you in the chat, my friend. All right, lots of people saying, yes, 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 tell it all, spill the beans. All right, so that's what I'll do is in a subsequent episode, I'll do that. I will get into the story of the second girl. How about that? We'll do that next episode. We'll talk about the second girl who ended up at the police station and go through her story. For now, what I want to do is I'm going to go through a little bit of a timeline here. And I'll publish this timeline to, in fact, a couple of you, Dennis, including you. I included this timeline, Dennis, in what I sent you today and a couple other people. But for others, I will post this timeline as a document to Substack and Patreon and also the YouTube channel membership stuff. But let me see here. All right, I'm just going to run through this real fast. I'm going to talk about how Epstein, how this case ran real quick up through today. So 2005, the beginning in Palm Beach. Started in March 2005, 14-year-old girl at the Royal Palm Beach High School in Florida gets into a fight. We're talking about Mary. Police find $300 in $20 bills on her. She's questioned. She explains she was paid for giving massages at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion on 358 Abrio Way. This prompts a referral to the Palm Beach Police Department. Between March to October 2005, the Palm Beach Police Department begins surveillance of Epstein's home. Detectives interview other girls, uncovering a pattern. Epstein was paying minors for sexualized massages and encouraged them to recruit more girls. That was one of the I didn't really go into it tonight, but the deal was Epstein would do sexual stuff with these girls. They did not like it. This was not enjoyable. This was, a much older man. And while I am almost the same age that Epstein was at the time he's doing this stuff, and I think I'm a gross old man, but if it was a 14-year-old girl and a 50-year-old man, heck yeah, that is not right. It's not right at any age. But I mean, these girls are really grossed out by the idea of doing anything with him. So Epstein had a deal. You could make more money. You got a base amount, $200 for doing the massage. If you were sexual with him, you'd get more money. In Mary's case, she got an extra $100 because of the extra stuff that went on. Full-on sex, you get even more than the $300. But if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can still make more money if you recruit girls. And so that's how he got so many girls. He had Ghislaine Maxwell out there recruiting girls, like she picked up Virginia Roberts from Mar-a-Lago. Virginia's dad had been a groundskeeper there, handyman or something. And anyway, so these girls could make more money by recruiting other girls. It's kind of like perverted Amway. The more people you recruit, the more you get. And that's how Mary ended up in this, was her cousin recruited her. But anyway, so detectives are interviewing other girls, uncovering a pattern. Epstein's paying for their sexualized massages, encouraging them to recruit more girls. By the fall, the police department has identified 5 victims. Some of them are as young as 14. 2006, this escalates. May of 2006, the Palm Beach PD refers its findings to the Palm Beach County State Attorney, who is Barry Krischer. Krischer's office drafts a single charge of solicitation of prostitution, which is a light response. Police Chief Michael Ryder, unhappy with this, takes the case to the FBI. July 2006, the FBI is like, oh yeah, let's take a look here. They open up a full investigation. It's called Operation Leap Year. They uncover dozens of potential underage victims, not just down there in Florida, but up in New York and elsewhere. Because remember, Epstein also had the mansion in Big Ranch out in New Mexico, and he had other places. 2007 to 8, Epstein assembles a legal dream team. 2007, and remember, all throughout this time, this is Trump's party years with Epstein. 2007, federal prosecutors prepare a 53-page indictment for sex trafficking. So Epstein hires a bunch, Hidden Hand says out there, Zorro Ranch, the New Mexico ranch. Epstein's legal dream team goes on the offensive and really start, the part of the game plan is we've got to discredit these girls. We got to call them hookers, whores, drug addicts, and a lot of them were troubled girls. A lot of these girls came from bad or broken homes. There were a lot of trouble with these girls, and so they're exploiting that. They're really going after these girls, hiring private detectives, private investigators to, some of these dirty ones, to follow the girls around, spook them, intimidate them. So here are some of the members of this dream team. You've got Jay Lefkowitz, who's a senior partner at Kirkland and Ellis, which is kind of the, Kirkland and Ellis is kind of the Goldman Sachs of attorney firms. It's got just ruthless reputation. This is the same firm that Alex Acosta worked for, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. So Jay Lefkowitz, outspoken Zionist. Then Epstein has got Kenneth Starr. You know him from being the special prosecutor who went after Bill Clinton during the Lewinsky scandal, and he may have gotten some of this dirt on Clinton from the Israeli Mossad. Kenneth Starr is not Jewish, but he's been an outspoken ally of Israel. Another member of the team, the most prominent, one of the most prominent voices in America defending Israel, no matter what Israel does, is Alan Dershowitz, who admitted reluctantly that he had a massage from one of Epstein's masseuses, but he insists that he had his underwear on and that the masseuse was not underage. But Alan Dershowitz, in case you guys don't know this, Alan Dershowitz is known around Martha's Vineyard for being a nudist. He goes out, I don't know if he still does, but for years and years and years, he'd go out there around Martha's Vineyard totally naked, walking around. They've got some nude beaches, I think, but he's a nudist. Imagine. Anyway, so they're out there. Dershowitz and this team, they are smearing the victims, calling them lying whores, and some of the girls end up taking off. Like, nope, this is bad. We got men following us, men taking our pictures. Nope, we're out of here. And they left. All right, 2007 to 2008. Here's the plea deal. The FBI probe identifies at least 34 underage victims. By the time that the federal case is prepared, they've identified 40 girls who have been abused by Epstein. 2007. Here comes U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who had worked for the Kirkland and Ellis, same place that Lefkowitz had worked. Acosta is the guy who is assigned as the prosecutor. He's supposed to be going after Epstein. He's supposed to be fighting on behalf of the victims. But what he does is, behind the backs of the victims, without consulting them or their attorneys, he works out a sweetheart plea deal with Alan Dershowitz and the other Epstein attorneys. Acosta later on, he's the guy who said, oh yeah, I had to back off Epstein, going after Epstein because I was told he was intelligence, part of an intelligence operation. Now, this non-prosecution agreement that Acosta gives Epstein shields Epstein and unnamed conspirators, including Ghislaine Maxwell, from federal charges. And that is one of the things that Maxwell is arguing today. She's saying, I shouldn't even be in prison. Doesn't matter if I'm guilty or not. Of course, she says she's not guilty. But her position is, even if I was guilty, I shouldn't have been prosecuted because Alex Acosta worked out a deal where if Epstein pled guilty, we would be shielded from prosecution. June 2008, Epstein pleads guilty in Florida State Court to this: 2 counts of soliciting prostitution, 1 involving a minor. That's it. The FBI has got 40 victims. A lot of them are children. And the plea deal that Alex Acosta works out for Epstein is he has solicited 2 prostitutes. One of them happens to be underage. And his claim is he had no idea she was underage. I mean, what the hell? He gets sentenced to 18 months in Palm Beach County Jail. He only served 13, and saying that he served time is really ridiculous because he wasn't even at the jail for most of the time. Most of the time he was out doing his own thing during the day, but would go back to the jail and sleep there at night. This was outrageous. He had to register as a sex offender. So the victims are pissed off about this. So, but he does his 13 months and he's back out on the street, back out there going after people, trying to flip Bill Gates, trying to get Stephen Hawking, trying to get everybody. Like, the intelligence operation escalates after this. I can tell you sometime the story of how he tried to get Bill Gates, how he tried to muscle Bill Gates into... Anyway, I'll skip that for another time. But 2009 to 2016. Oh, let me reopen my chat window. It just closed on me. Freaking Bill Gates. What a dirtbag. All right. Oops. Okay. Victims file multiple lawsuits against Epstein and his associates, including Ghislaine Maxwell. 2011. Now this is where we start to have, I'm peppering in some additional details here that will be more, make a little more sense later on. 2011, Pam Bondi becomes the Attorney General for the state of Florida. She's not told to go after Epstein, but the case is there. It's clear that he, even though he has technically served his time, you've got all of these cases against him. They're trying to get him. She had the option of reopening or pursuing some of this, and she chose not to. Okay, so Pam Bondi has some history with this Epstein mess. Her get out of jail free card is to say, well, there was no case before me at my time. His case was before I took office. But there are a lot of victims coming forward trying to get help when she was the AG. So anyway, she doesn't pursue anything against Epstein or any of these associates. 2013, up in New York, Trump is being sued for his fraudulent Trump University. But complaints are also starting. Dennis is saying, Jake, super chat, renew. Oh man, I gotta start a new goal. Man, you guys did it. Let me set a 30-minute. What should we set this goal as? Let's do 30 minutes. And the reward is all your dreams will come true. All right. Donate, super chat, and all your dreams will come true. You have my personal guarantee on that. Thank you, Dennis. I hadn't noticed. And thank you guys. I'm going to thank you guys in a few minutes for these super chat donations that you've made. I appreciate you guys so friggin' much. All right, 2013, Trump University fraud. He's being sued up in New York, but they're also getting referrals down in Florida, where Pam Bondi is the AG. Complaints are coming in. Is she going to prosecute Trump? Well, the Trump Foundation gives Pam Bondi $25,000 campaign donation in 2013. So guess what? She decides, nah, the state of Florida is not going to pursue fraud charges on behalf of the victims that are asking for the state to defend them against the Trump University scam. And it was a scam because Trump later has to pay a penalty, an IRS penalty, for giving an improper campaign donation to Pam Bondi for this. So it was wrong. It was wrong. All right. 2016, Donald Trump is elected president of the United States with massive support from elite Zionist donors like billionaires Sheldon and Miriam Adelson. Keep the grift alive, says Joel. And Dennis says, to the lovely friends on here, if you are enjoying this as much as I do, please buy Super Chat and help keep Jake online. Thank you all. Dennis and Joel, you guys are friggin' awesome. And hey, guys, don't let Joel and Dennis be the only cheerleaders. Hop in there. Thank you, folks. All right, so Trump is elected. 2017 to 2018, President Trump and Acosta. In January 2017, Donald Trump appoints the controversial sweetheart deal prosecutor Alex Acosta as his first U.S. Secretary of Labor. Why would he do that? Alex Acosta has nothing to do with the, Labor Department. Why? Because he did a favor for Epstein. And the circle that Donald Trump is in is quite deep with their connections to Epstein. It's not just Jeff himself. Trump is connected from every which way to the Epstein circle. So Alex Acosta, the guy who helped keep Epstein from getting in trouble too much, he becomes the U.S. Secretary of Labor. Again, Epstein's victims are pissed. February 1st, 2017, 12 days into the Trump administration, Trump's brand spanking new national security advisor, Democrat General Mike Flynn, stands at the White House podium and delivers a military threat to Iran. He said, "We are putting Iran on notice." And basically he was saying, guess what? You're supporting the Houthis in Yemen. You're anti-Israel. We're going to come after you. Mike Flynn was die-hard Israeli loyalist. Still is to this day. And he was deeply connected later on as the QAnon conspiracy got going. He jumped into that and helped steer that toward turning QAnon from just going after the sex trafficking victims and all that, turning QAnon toward being pro-Israel. All right. So February 1st, 2017, Mike Flynn threatens Iran. Just 2 weeks later, on February 13th, 24 days into the administration, Flynn is forced to resign. Why? Because he lied to Vice President Mike Pence and he lied to the FBI about having had secret negotiations with Russia to try and prevent the United Nations resolution that they were getting ready to vote on from condemning illegal Israeli settlements. This was before Trump took office. Obama was still the U.S. president at the time. Normally, the U.S. always shields in the UN Security Council. You've got like four or so nations that have veto power. You could have every single member of the UN Security Council vote in favor of a resolution to condemn Israel. All it takes is one country to vote no, and that they veto it, regardless of what every other United Nations member says. Normally, the U.S. government always votes no against any resolution that's going to speak out against Israel's crimes. But in a snub to Netanyahu and Israel in general, Obama directed his ambassador to vote, to abstain from voting. And this was known in advance that the United States was not going to veto this. So that means this resolution condemning Israeli settlements, it's going to end up passing. So not getting help from the Obama administration, Israel gets in touch with Mike Flynn and says, look, do what you can. And so Mike Flynn and Donald Trump are petitioning Russia, saying basically, Mike Flynn is talking to the Russian ambassador saying, look, we're going to agree to cut back a lot of sanctions for you if you will veto this resolution. We can't get the U.S. ambassador to do it because Obama's still president, but you do it. So you've got Mike Flynn trying to negotiate with a foreign government. And what Mike Flynn did not know was that the FBI had a recording of these conversations. And when they asked him about it, he denied it. Mike Pence asked him, did you do this? And he lied to the vice president and said, no, I didn't do that. So when the FBI showed their hand and said, actually, we got you dead to rights, my friend. We got the phone call, got it recorded. Mike Pence went to Trump and said, fire his ass. We cannot have somebody who is going to be lying to me, the sitting vice president. And Mike Pence was hardcore pro-Israel, so that wasn't the issue. So anyway, Mike Flynn has to resign. And is in barely 3 weeks into the job. All right, now the plot thickens. May 9th, 2017, Donald Trump fires the FBI director, James Comey. He ought to have been kissing Comey's rear end because it was James Comey in October, with the October surprise of 2016, reopening just weeks before the election, reopening the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's email deletion, the whole email server crap. He opened it and closed it again, but putting her under investigation swung a bunch of independent votes away from her toward Trump. And that helped put Trump over the top. Remember, Trump did not win the popular vote in 2016. He lost by millions of votes. But anyway, so most people, Hillary herself says she judges that the thing that sank her, that was the nail in the coffin, was James Comey opening the FBI investigation against her, or reopening it. So anyway, Trump should be a big fan of James Comey. But anyway, what Trump does is he sits down, has a private dinner with Comey, and tells Comey, I need you to play ball. You guys are investigating Mike Flynn. I need you to stop investigating Mike Flynn. And it wasn't so much because of that Trump was loyal to Flynn. It's that what Flynn was doing was on behalf of Israel. He was trying to help Israel, promising to relieve these sanctions. So you've got Israel in Trump's ear telling him, you got to shut down this thing, because if this will be bad PR for us too. So during this dinner, Comey does not agree to do it. And that's why James Comey got fired. Anyway, May 17th, 2017, Robert Mueller is appointed just a couple of weeks after Comey is fired. Mueller is appointed as special prosecutor to investigate foreign election interference on behalf of the Trump campaign in the 2016 election. And it became very political. The Democrats were just as stupid as they could be, convinced that Vladimir Putin was trying to swing the election. And so they went off in the wrong direction with this. Yes, there was plenty of election interference. It wasn't so much Russia as it was Israel and Israel's ties to the Russian mafia, which was predominantly Jewish. There was a lot that happened in the 2016 election. Israeli private intelligence companies like Psy Group, Black Cube, they played a role in swinging the election. They did stuff like buying up Facebook data, programming bots, astroturfing. But anyway, Robert Mueller was like, nah, not going to go down that route. And so I don't know if you guys remember back then, during this whole investigation, 2017, 2018, I was like, this Russiagate thing, they're screwing it up. The freaking Democrats are not going after, but nobody has the willpower to go, no one's going to go after bite the hand that feeds them. Thank you, Dennis. All right, 2018. Investigative journalists, especially Julie Brown from the Miami Herald, they uncover the full scope of Epstein's abuse that had largely been covered up and the leniency of the 2008 deal made through Alex Acosta. It was not widely known. There were people like me and others talking about what this Epstein mess and what a scam it was, but the general public did not yet know about this. But when there were some high-profile stories written about it in the Herald by Julie Brown, who did excellent work, then it starts coming out what Epstein really did, and it showed this is crazy that he got off. And so there starts to be this public backlash against Alex Acosta. May 2018. On behalf of Israel, Donald Trump becomes the first U.S. president to announce that the United States considers Jerusalem, West and East Jerusalem, to be the undivided capital of Jerusalem, of Israel. Up until this point, every former U.S. president recognized Tel Aviv as the capital. They weren't going to move the U.S. embassy there because they knew that East Jerusalem is the future capital of the state of Palestine. East Jerusalem is recognized by almost every country on earth as being Palestinian territory that is illegally occupied by Israel. East Jerusalem is where Temple Mount is, though, and that's why the Israelis want it and wanted to claim it. So without East Jerusalem, you take that away from the Palestinians, you're taking their state away in their view, in their minds. So it was highly, highly provocative to move the embassy. So Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, flies over to attend the U.S. Embassy dedication in Jerusalem. Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, they fly over for it, and he's given a position of prominence there at everything because he, more than anybody else, Sheldon Adelson, is the one who played the biggest role in getting Trump to do this. But that's because Sheldon Adelson almost single-handedly bought the 2016 election for Donald Trump, with the understanding that Trump's got to give back. And that's what Trump is doing for Israel. He's giving back. And this controversy, moving the embassy, you start having protests, you start having like the Great March of Return, all of these peaceful marches, peaceful protests by the Palestinians, especially in Gaza. They're out there waving their flags. Israeli snipers are popping them off, shooting the people out there on crutches, shooting Palestinians in wheelchairs that have been shot in the past, lost a leg. They finish them off. Israel's out there shooting medics, nurses, reporters that are out there protesting, all peaceful. Trump gives the green light for Israel to expand its settlement building, and the settlers are the most... The KKK hasn't got anything on these radical settlers in Israel. They are violent. They are foul and racist. And they're armed. And so they are ramping up attacks on the Palestinians in the West Bank. And all of this violence escalates. The settlement building continues, and it culminates in what happened on October 7th, 2023 with the Hamas attacks. And, which Netanyahu clearly was very happy about, because he has milked it with every drop of Palestinian blood that he can for the interests of Israel. Anyway, 2019. This is where we started the show. July 6th, Epstein is arrested at the Teterboro Airport. New federal sex trafficking charges based in part on re-examined evidence and victim testimony. And then, July 2019, James Comey's daughter, Maureen, she's working in the Southern District of New York as a prosecutor, and she is put on the Epstein case. Okay, so you've now got Jim Comey's daughter as one of the prosecutors going after Epstein. When he is arrested on July 12th, or when he's arrested, after he's arrested, Alex Acosta resigns as Secretary of Labor. There's just too much heat on him, so he's gone. August 10th, Epstein dies in jail. Or everyone's got a theory, right? He's dead, he's not dead, he committed suicide, he was murdered. I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole in this show. But the incident takes place. Donald Trump's Attorney General at that time, former CIA agent Bob Barr, personally visits the prison to check out what's going on. This is unprecedented. You don't have the U.S. Attorney General going and getting involved in something like this. What the connection might be? I don't know. Barr's father was former OSS agent Donald Barr. OSS was the predecessor to the CIA. Barr's father was the headmaster at Dalton when Jeff Epstein was hired. Jeff Epstein had no teaching experience. He had no college degree. He had no qualifications to be a teacher. But they put him in there. And of course, Epstein gets fired because he's trying to get hot and heavy with the girls there. August 2019, following Epstein's apparent death, Maureen Comey transitions to prosecution efforts against Epstein's associates. So Maureen Comey is no longer going after Epstein. She's now going after Ghislaine Maxwell. December 18th, 2019, U.S. House of Representatives impeaches Donald Trump. In January 2020, who does Trump reach out to? Who is in Trump's circle? Epstein's people. So Trump hires Epstein's lawyers, Alan Dershowitz and Kenneth Starr, to serve on his impeachment defense team. Who is on that team with Epstein's attorneys? Pam Bondi, the woman who basically took a $25,000 bribe, campaign donation, to not prosecute Trump University down in Florida previously. Look at all these people. Are you starting to see this network? Are you starting to see what we refer to when we talk about the deep state? All these people. You really think Donald Trump is draining the swamp? If draining the swamp means bringing most of Epstein's lawyers into government, yeah, Trump is definitely draining the swamp. February 13th, 2021, 7 Republican senators join with Democrats to vote in favor of conviction. This is the most bipartisan impeachment vote in history, U.S. history, but Trump is acquitted. 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell and Trump. All right, so July 2020, Maureen Comey is now appointed to the lead prosecution team against Maxwell. July 2nd, Maxwell is arrested by the FBI in New Hampshire at her lover boy's house, where she's been hiding out. She's arrested on charges of recruiting, grooming, and trafficking underage girls for Epstein. She's denied bail. Then we have Donald Trump is asked about her, and he does that famous line, "I just wish her well, frankly." Why would you wish a child sex trafficker well? Why would you do that? And just in case it wasn't a flub, he's asked in an Axios interview afterward about those comments, and he reconfirmed it. Yeah, I wish her well. So we've got multiple times that Donald Trump is wishing Ghislaine Maxwell, a child sex trafficker, wishing her well. So we're starting to see Donald Trump, who has a long history with Maxwell. There's something here. Where there's smoke, there's fire. December 29th, 2021. New York jury finds Maxwell guilty on 5 of 6 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor, conspiracy, transporting a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. She is sentenced June 28th, 2022, 20 years in federal prison, and they send her down to Florida. All right, so Maxwell is in prison. June 2024, during the presidential campaign, Trump says he would release Epstein files if he's reelected. September 2024, Trump says on the Lex Friedman show that he would have, quote, no problem with releasing the Epstein files if elected. January 2025, Trump is sworn in to his second term. Just in case you think he's done with Epstein's people, what does he do? He takes Epstein's next-door neighbor, Howard Lutnick, and makes him U.S. Secretary of Commerce. Let me show you here real quick. Give me a second. Let me open up Google Earth. I should have gotten this ready earlier. Bear with me. I just want to show you some of this. All right. Can you see that okay? Let me see here. Yep. All right. Dang it. All right. I want to show you the geography here. All right. Let's go down to New York City. New York City. Take a look here. All right, here's one of Jeff Epstein's properties. This is where he's living before, 34 East 69th Street, before he moved into Les Wexner's property at 9 East 71st Street. So let's zoom in a little more. This is you can see over here, for you people that don't know what Central Park is, there's Central Park. They have just taken Manhattan and shaved all of the trees away and left this patch in the middle so people can feel like they have some nature stuff there. But anyway, you've got Ghislaine Maxwell. She was living at 116 East 65th. About 2 blocks away was this group of people. First of all, you can see, I told you earlier, the beginning of the show, let me show you who lives across the street from Epstein. So this is Epstein's apartment right here. 9 East 71st Street. Immediately next door, like, let's see if they've got street view here. Okay. This here with the door over here, that's Epstein's place. This here that's being worked on, this is Howard Lutnick's place. So Trump literally took Epstein's next door neighbor and made him the Secretary of Commerce. Now, I don't know that Lutnick has ever done anything bad with Epstein or anything like that. There's no evidence that's ever come out to that effect, but what a strange thing. And who did Lutnick buy his house from? Jeff Epstein. Jeff Epstein owned this property. But anyway, across the street here, directly across the street almost, was Bill Cosby. So here we've got Howard Lutnick and Epstein over here, and right here is Bill Cosby. How about that? Anyway, I just thought that was a little interesting. All right, let me just do the last couple entries here on the timeline. All right, Trump takes office, appoints Howard Lutnick as U.S. Secretary of Commerce. Then he appoints Pam Bondi as U.S. Attorney General. He appoints Kash Patel as FBI Director and Dan Bongino as Deputy Director of the FBI. February 21st, Attorney General Bondi tells Fox News that the client Epstein list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now, and the files would be released after review. Also that month, FBI Directors Patel and Bongino promised that any Epstein hidden records would be uncovered and given to the American people. Late February, Bondi orders a review using over 1,000 people to comb through Epstein's files. 1,000 people. In March, we now know Pam Bondi informed Donald Trump, guess what? Your name is not just in the Epstein files, it is in there a lot. Trump claims that she said that there was nothing incriminating against him in it, but, why don't you, if that's the case, put it out to the public, let us decide for ourselves, right? If there's nothing in it that's incriminating, doggone well, Donald Trump's throngs of supporters will point that out ad nauseum. See there, we told you there's nothing bad. It's just they were at, same party or whatever. But let us decide that. There's so much question in the minds of the American public over all of this, and the behaviors of Trump are so suspect. You let us, the people, decide at this point. Do we think there's something here to be concerned about? All right, so Bondi tells Trump that his name has been redacted, along with the names of other, I won't say co-conspirators, but other potential people in the Epstein files. Their names have been redacted. March 5th, Trump appoints his former criminal lawyer who represented him in the 2024 criminal trial in New York, where Trump was found guilty. He appoints his personal attorney, Todd Blanche, to be Deputy Attorney General under Pam Bondi. So you've got Trump, who had Pam Bondi, an attorney, who did the deal for him not to go after Trump University after the $25,000 donation. Pam Bondi is the AG. And then his personal attorney, Todd Blanche, is the Deputy AG. That ought to raise the hackles of anybody out there in America who cares about the Department of Justice being a neutral organization. All right, May 19th, FBI Directors Patel and Bongino announced that Jeff Epstein committed suicide, that there's no evidence to the contrary. Patel says any suggestion otherwise is nothing more than a, quote, conspiracy theory. July 9th, on the day that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrives in Washington, D.C. to pressure Trump on Iran, Trump has Bondi announce to the public that the DOJ review of the 100,000 plus pages of Epstein files found no evidence of any criminal wrongdoing by a single person other than Jeff Epstein himself. And since he's dead, case closed. Pam Bondi announces that the client blackmail list that she previously said was on her desk, turns out it doesn't actually exist. Now, MAGA is going nuts over this. Rightly so. Thank you, MAGA, for showing some integrity. Trump tries to get control of this backlash by repeatedly trying to sell the idea that the Epstein files are a hoax, that the documents were written personally by Obama and Hillary Clinton and James Comey. and that any of his supporters who believe otherwise are weak, and he does not want their support. So of the people he's naming, Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, why would he come up with James Comey? Why is he fixating on James Comey? Oh yeah, because James Comey would not drop the FBI investigation into Mike Flynn for lying about trying to help Israel. Guess what happens next? After Trump is talking about James Comey, what does he do? He fires Maureen Comey. Who was she going after? Ghislaine Maxwell. So why is it that Donald Trump's Department of Justice fires the woman who fires the woman who was going after Epstein, going after Epstein's associates, and was one of the lead prosecutors who got Maxwell put in prison? Does that not strike you as being really, really, really fishy? July 23rd, the Republican-led U.S. House Oversight Committee votes 8-2 to subpoena Maxwell to testify to Congress. On that same day, Republican-led Government Operations Committee votes unanimously. Republicans and Democrats all voted to subpoena Maxwell to testify to Congress. Now, at this point, the vote has to go out to a full House vote. So to prevent the House from voting to subpoena Maxwell, Trump has House Speaker Mike Johnson recess Congress for the summer. And Johnson even admits that the reason he did this was to prevent the House vote to subpoena Maxwell so that Trump has, quote, space to handle the Maxwell situation. Again, this isn't just fishy. This is shockingly, brazenly corrupt. July 24th, 25th, Trump sends his former defense lawyer, current Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, to meet privately with Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, another unprecedented move. You only do this stuff if you're a third world banana republic dictator. Blanche gives Maxwell immunity from prosecution for any statements that she makes. He records her. They make a little propaganda tape together where she says she never saw Trump do anything wrong and that he was always, quote, a perfect gentleman. After the interview, we saw photos. Maxwell goes back to her prison. First of all, she shouldn't have been taken out of the prison for the interview, but she was. But they send her back. She's carrying a nice box of supplies. Who knows what all she had that they gave her. Late July, reports start emerging that Trump is considering pardoning Maxwell. This is from Michael Wolff, the biographer, who spent hours and hours and hours and hours interviewing Epstein. Trump's team says, no, we're not planning on that. You know doggone well they're planning on it. July 25th, Maxwell's lawyer floats the idea of a pardon. Trump says it's not the time. No. The answer is no. The answer is no. She was found guilty. She was found guilty. And Trump is even considering giving her a pardon? It's not the time. August 1st, Maxwell, thanks to Donald Trump's Department of Justice, they transfer her out of the prison she's in to a minimum security camp in Texas. This place, they call it a prison. Forget the idea that they even have like a fence or barbed wire. There's nothing like that at this place. It is so low key, they call it club fed. Clearly, it's special treatment for convicted sex trafficker. August 2025, House Democrats introduce a resolution opposing any pardon or clemency for Maxwell, emphasizing justice for survivors. And lastly, late August, Trump's DOJ publishes Maxwell's interview statement that she was never aware of any client list, reiterated that Trump did nothing wrong, and that she has never done anything wrong either. Now, These are just the basic facts, all of which can be confirmed. You can interpret them different ways, but you can't dispute the actual facts themselves. I believe that any fair-minded person will look at this timeline and conclude that Donald Trump is covering up either for himself or for other people. Definitely for Maxwell. There cannot be anyone out there other than the most deeply, deeply brainwashed Trump supporter who can look at these facts and say, there's nothing to see here. This is crazy. And a big part of this is about protecting Israel, because the whole Epstein operation has links to Israeli intelligence. Right? I don't know. What do you guys think? That's my thought. All right, here's what we're going to do. That's all I've got. Let me, for this part, let me put in the chat here, blackstoneintel.com or blackstoneintel.substack.com. I'm going to put the link to my Substack account here. I will take this timeline and I'm going to publish it, and tomorrow I'll also publish information about the story, the Epstein story I was telling you earlier. I'll put those in as articles there, and I'll also publish it to Patreon and to YouTube channel memberships at the $5 and up level. So if you're paying $5 or more, whether it's Substack, Patreon, or the YouTube channel, you'll get all of these documents, okay? All right, what I'm going to do now is I am going to play a 5-minute movie review of the Parallax View. After that movie review, we will proceed from there. We're getting ready to do the Hangstein game in just a minute, okay? All right, let me go ahead and mute my... When most people think of political thrillers, they think of All the President's Men, maybe 3 Days of the Condor. But if you really want to understand the machinery of power, the shadow networks that manipulate assassinations and elections and mass consent, you really need to watch The Parallax View. This 1974 film, which was directed by Alan J. Pakula, doesn't just tell a story, it mirrors the very real assassinations of the 1960s, from John F. Kennedy to Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy. It dares to ask the question that few in Washington ever want to have asked. What if those assassinations weren't just random acts of a lone gunman, but were actually part of a systematic program carried out by faceless operatives working for private contractors and hidden hands? In the movie, Warren Beatty plays Joe Frady, a journalist who starts off as a bit of a cynical drifter, but after witnessing a senator's assassination, he finds himself slowly dragged down a rabbit hole that leads straight into a nightmare of black ops and mind control and corporate-sponsored murder for hire. What makes the Parallax View resonate for members of the Blackstone intelligence audience is how close it tracks with documented covert operations. In the movie, the Parallax Corporation is a thinly veiled stand-in for the cutout companies that intelligence agencies use in real life. Back during MKUltra and COINTELPRO, the CIA and the FBI routinely worked through contractors and through front organizations so that they could maintain deniability. The film's central theme, that a private firm can recruit and test and condition assassins, that was not science fiction. It was a story based on techniques already in development at that time. In the movie, the infamous assassination training montage, where Frady undergoes psychological conditioning while a bizarre sequence of images are flashed across the screen, it's chilling because it reflects real MKUltra experiments. images of mothers, American flags, which of course we're not allowed to burn, images of violence and pornography. These are deliberately juxtaposed in CIA tests to see how they could trigger subconscious responses in test subjects. Now, if you're paying attention, the Parallax View plays less like a thriller, more like a warning. It tells us that the biggest crimes of state aren't carried out in secret bunkers. They're outsourced, they're sanitized, buried under layers of corporate bureaucracy. That's why in the movie, no one can ever quite pin responsibility on anyone. Witnesses keep dying. Investigations get shut down. The press is muzzled. It's not a far cry from what happens in our own headlines. Look at how whistleblowers today get destroyed for stepping out of line. Look at how congressional investigations hit dead ends when they bump up against intelligence contractors like Bose Allen or Palantir. The movie, which is half a century old, saw the writing on the wall. On a filmmaking level, the Parallax View is also a masterclass in what critics call paranoid cinema. Pacula uses wide shots, empty spaces to make the audience feel small and insignificant, like someone is always watching, even when nobody's there. That visual style became the defining look of 1970s conspiracy thrillers. The result is a sense of dread that mirrors the feeling that many Americans had in post-Watergate, post-assassination era, that the institutions supposedly protecting democracy were actually the very ones undermining it. The ending, without spoiling too much, offers no comfort to the viewer. There's no triumph of justice, just another file stamped, another cover-up sealed, another loose end tied off. And that, perhaps, is the most honest part of the movie. Here's the takeaway for us today. The Parallax View may be fiction, but the system it depicts is not. The machinery of assassination and manipulation and denial still exists, only now it's turbocharged with modern surveillance tech, with AI-driven profiling and private intelligence contractors embedded in every corner of government and media. So if you want to see how Hollywood once dared to expose the shadow state before studios got cozy with the Pentagon's script approval process, sit down, watch the Parallax View, and remember, those who control the narrative control reality. All right, so the Parallax View. I'm a movie buff. I love watching movies. I love the storytelling. I love the art of filmmaking, from the sound design, the principal photography, the everything. I love it. So the Parallax View it definitely is a dated looking movie. You know, you can tell they've got the 70s hair and everything, but good story, fun story. All right, and I did put the links in there if you wanted to. I looked online to see if the movie is streaming on any streaming service for free, and it's not. I can't find it anywhere. But I did put the link in there if you wanted to watch it on Amazon, and also the link if you want to look at the Blu-ray. All right. How's everybody doing out there? Let's move on. We are going to do the Hangstein game in just a second. Let me remind everybody how this works. Anyone who donates $1 or more during the show will be able to participate in the Hangstein game, and you'll have a chance to win a prize during the game. Anyone that's already donated, you're good. You're in it. And then anyone who has donated $5 or more will have a bonus drawing at the end for an additional prize. Now, for the prizes for this Hangstein game are going to be our basic, kind of our tier 1 things. You have the option of getting an this air freshener didn't hang itself. Okay, that's one option. Option number 2 is a free month of one of the services, like Patreon or Substack services. You'll get access to any new things that I write, as well as my older articles. You get that. And then I'll announce the prize options for the next one. But what I'm going to do is just give anybody time here, if they want to get in any last minute super chats to get in the game, you can do that. I'm going to put on a 2-minute music interlude while I start writing down the names of people that have donated. Okay. And then we'll jump in and work on the game here. So let me get some obnoxious music going. Let's see here. What's a good one? I don't have any good ones. Here's just the old stuff. That finished. I got to make that longer from now on, or a different song that's not so obnoxious, because I'm still writing this stuff down. I'll tell you as I go along here. All right, I'll show you what I've got so far. All right, we've got Joel. In fact, we'll start out. We've got Joel, 1 there. Mary Kay, 1 there. Another one for Mary Kay, that's 2. Mary Kay, a 3rd one. Mary Kay, a 4th one. All right, so that's 4 there so far. Seymour, 1 there. Joel, there's another one. I'm still working on it. Dennis, 1 for you. Now, these are the ones that will be in that later drawing. We also have so far for the Hangstein game, Joel, Johu, Seymour, Mary Kay, Marvin, Stephen is who I'm up to. And I just need to fill out these others. Stephen. All right, Stephen, you get 2 entries. All right, so Stephen, there's your first one going in the jar. Stephen, there's your second one going in the jar. I got your name there. Next, we have Mike H. Mike H. Mike H. Mike H. All right. Let me bring my chat up so I can see if anyone's telling me I'm doing something wrong while I go. And I'll have, after I do all of these, we'll I'll read. Dennis says, "Don't put my name on yet." So what I'll do here is at the end I'll go back and you'll tell me, you'll fix everything, okay? Because I'm like only half paying attention to chat. All right, so Stephen, I've got your name in twice there for that. Dennis has got another one. And some of these, because I ran out of slips, some of these I'm going to mark out old names, so from previous ones. So Dennis, tell me, are you saying don't put your name in? Jake, pick someone from the chat to play for me, please. All right, well, we'll hold up on that. Dennis, are you going to want to do the hangman game or just sit out of it? Like, I know you're saying that for the gift, but do you want to give your spot up in general? You can let me know. And then we've got another one. So Seymour, I'm going to put in. Whoops. I had to mark one out, but I've got your name here. Seymour as the second entry. All right. Dennis says he's got his Jeff Epstein already, so. All right. Marvin, I'm seeing you again here. All right, Marvin, there's your second entry. Going in the jar. Tabitha. Thank you, Tabitha. Tabitha, sorry about my scribbling right now. Tabitha, your name is going in the jar for the drawing later on. Let me also write you down for the game. All right. Then we've got Ernie. Hey, Ernie. I'll write you down here. All right, Ernie. Got you there. Joel Dalton is really coming up here from behind. You know what? I was not expecting so many donations, so bear with me a second. Let me make some more slips real quick. Woohoo! This is not a bad problem to have, although I know for some of you, you're like, hurry up. I just want to get out of the chat here. I want to be done. You can wait. The game, Paulina, is Hangstein. We're going to play Hangman in a second. So if you want in, you just got to make a donation of $1 or more. Okay. All right, so Ernie, I've got you in. Joel has got his name in again. Joel. Joel. There you go. Another one. That goes in the jar. And next up after Joel, we have another one for Dennis. But Dennis, you're saying don't put your name in. Dennis, just so you know, Dennis, if you want any letters or anything from me, if you want postcards, something you haven't gotten before, let me know. You're very generous with your donations there. Next, we have got Carol. All right, Carol. Carol Danino. You're in. There's another one from Dennis. Then we have R Factor. R Factor. There you go, R Factor. Put that in. And then we've got Paulina in for the Hangman game. Now, while I am... Dennis says he wants to buy a Blackstone hat. Yeah, Dennis, so you can either go to Blackstone merch and buy it there. Would be the easiest way. That'd be awesome. I'd love to send you a Blackstone hat. All right, Paulina. Thank you, Paulina. Paulina, we will put you in to the drawing as well for after the game. All right. Dennis, I don't have the link directly to the cap right off here, but here's... BlackstoneMerch.com. You'll just have to look for the... Oh, Tabitha. Tabitha, you've got a hat. Tell you what, since everyone's talking about their hats, I'll put mine on in solidarity. Hopefully it doesn't cast too much of a shadow there. All right. Joel still trash talking out there. All right, let me ask you guys, is there anyone who has that I have not mentioned yet? I've got Joel D, Joe Who, Seymour, Mary K, Marvin, Stephen, Mike H, Tabitha, Ernie, Carol, R Factor, Paulina. Who have I missed? Is there anyone I've missed out there? All right, so we're going to do the game. Also, is there anyone that has donated on one of the other sites outside of Super Chats tonight that where I haven't seen you? Because if you made a donation on, if you subscribed tonight on Patreon, Substack, or one of the others, I would not have seen it yet. Let me look on my phone. Oh, wait a second. I think I do have a... Make sure I'm not showing it here. Okay, All Pro Equipment. I don't know... I won't read any details here, but All Pro Equipment, I did get a PayPal donation from you. Are you out there? And why does Joel have a star? Dennis, you know what? You should now have a star from now on, Dennis. But All Pro Auto Equipment, I have got a donation from you. If you want to be in the Hangman game, let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and put your name down for the drawing. And you may not want to, it's possible you don't want to identify your PayPal name with your username in here. But anyway, so how we'll do it at the end of the show with this is whoever wins the other one, we'll talk by email to coordinate the gift. And R Factor. Oh, okay. Well, R Factor, did you do it looks like you did one from, on PayPal, but also you did a super chat, right? Oh, Dennis, look at that. Thank you, sir. Pat Buchanan is in the Epstein files? That would be interesting. I met Pat Buchanan in 2000 at up in Washington, D.C. at CPAC. He's a good speaker. All right. All right, very good. All right, so I've got you in twice, R Factor. Thank you so much. All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace. If there's anyone I have missed, put it in the chat now so that I can make sure we get you in the game. And then we're going to do this. The clue is a CIA operation. Here is the order that we're going to go in. For the sake of time, to keep this going, and in a minute I'll put on a little background music. Not quite yet, though, so we don't go nuts. But what I'm going to do is go in order of how the donations came in. So I will say, for example, the first person up is going to be Joel. And so Joel will be able to, in a minute, once I put the board up, he'll guess a letter. And then after he guesses a letter and I show whether we've got it or not, Joel will either tell us pass if he has no guess, or he can tell us a guess. If it is not your turn, first of all, if you're not in the game, shut up. I'll boot you out if you're giving it away and you're not in the game. Okay. So be cool. But if you're in the game, don't tell the answer if you know it until it's your turn. Or, you know what? Since there's so many of you in this game, how about this? Let's do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. Normally in the game, the way we do it is you cannot guess unless it is your turn. I will do it this way. I will first give the opportunity to the person who just guessed a letter to answer. Okay? If that person does not know it, you need to put some kind of emoji in just type the word guess into the chat if you're in the game. And in the order that it comes in, I will let you take a guess, even though it's out of turn. Okay? And for the sake of time, I'm going to give, let's see, I'm sure we've got a lag right now. Let me put my hand up so I can see how many seconds lag time we've got. I'm seeing about a 5-second lag time. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a timer. Let's begin with this. The clue is CIA operation. It is 2 words, hence the 2 lines. Our first person up is going to be Joel. After Joel is done, the person who will be on deck is Joe Who, okay? So Joel, let's start with you. I got the timer running. We'll give you about 20 seconds or so. Guess your first letter. Joel says E. There is an E. There you go, Joel. Guess or pass? All right. Next up is Joe Who. Joe, if you're out there, guess your letter. And just while we're waiting, up next after Joe Who is going to be Seymour. So Seymour, you're up on deck next. Joe guesses N. There is an N. Actually, there's two N's. Here we go. So you got 20 seconds for a guess. "20 seconds for a guess." No. Clandestine operative. All right. Next, we've got Seymour. Seymour, what's your guess? And just so you know, Mary Kay will be up next, but I think Mary might have left. But Mary, you're going to be up next after Seymour. Looking for Seymour. All right, Seymour, we are running out of time here. We have got 91 viewers right now. All right, Seymour, I'm not seeing you. So let's say Mary Kay. Let me switch it back here. Yep. Yeah, my chat looks good from this end. I'm just not seeing any response from Seymour. So Mary Kay, if you're out there, let's give you another 10 seconds or so to guess a letter. I'm going to click something in the chat. I'm not seeing any responses from anyone in chat. Okay. Mary Kay, I'm not seeing anything. So Marvin, do you have a letter? Marvin is up next. And just so you know, after Marvin, the next person up is going to be Steven. So let's give... did I miss an E? Nope. Oh, doggone it, Joel. I swear I suck at this. Yes, I missed an E. Yeah. I swear. Thanks for calling that out, Joel. All right, so we didn't see Seymour, didn't see Mary, and now we're waiting on Marvin to see if Marvin has a letter to guess. All right, Marvin guesses A. There is an A. Zeta, you don't get to pick. All right. make sure there's not a second A so Joel doesn't have to straighten me out again. So Stephen is going to be up on deck next after Marvin guesses. And while I'm waiting on Marvin, I'm going to go find some music here. Nope, not that. That's too much. Way too much. Let's find something a little more low key. How's that? That may be too quiet. If it's too quiet, let me know, but we'll try that. All right, I'm not getting any response here in my chat from Marvin on the guess. Marvin, you got a guess? All right, let's go ahead, Stephen, and... All right, Marvin passes. So, Stephen, go ahead with your letter. Up next after Stephen will be Mike H. So, Mike, after Stephen's guess in a second. Stephen guesses D. Unfortunately, there is no D. And Jeff Epstein now has his head hanging. But you can still guess if you have a guess, Stephen. All right, Stephen passes. We are up to Mike H. And after Mike H's turn, it will be Tabitha's turn. So let's give Mike H a chance to guess. Or pick a letter. Did we lose Mike? Okay, we'll give Mike another 10 seconds here, and then Tabitha, you'll be next. All right, Tabitha, if you're out there, give us a letter. The hint is CIA operation. Did we lose Tabitha too? After Tabitha is going to be Ernie, if Ernie's out there. All right, let's go ahead and jump to Ernie. So Ernie, if you're out there, Ernie, give us a letter. All right, Dennis, we'll give Ernie a second here, see if Ernie responds with a letter, And if he doesn't, then I will give you a chance to guess. Oh, wait, Dennis, you're not... Shut up, Dennis. You're not in the game. You gave it up. No, you can guess if you want to. Yeah, Operation Big Balls. All right, I'm not hearing from Tabitha or Ernie. So Carol, Dennis, I don't... Does you guys vote? Does Dennis get... Does he get to guess? He's certainly donated enough to be in the game, but... But anyway, so it's going to be Dennis or Joel to guess. And they've been fighting back and forth with the donations all evening, so I don't know how to resolve this. I'm no diplomat. Well, Joel is rather direct, so I'm gonna side with Joel on this one. Dennis, you can tell me if you got it right later, but Joel, take a guess, Joel. If you want to, since you are saying. Oh wait, Carol's here. Carol, there is no L, Carol. All right. Oh man, my handwriting is bad because I don't have anything to support this with. Well, how do we do it? We've got... All right, so here's the great debate. Let me turn this music off. Yes, it is Operation Mongoose is correct. All right, so we had... Joel said he thought he had it, but then Marvin actually got it. Well, no. It's... Who got it first? It was Joel, right? It came out first. I don't know. It was real close. Joel and Marvin. Joel had Mongoose. He didn't technically say Operation Mongoose. I think on... All right, well, Joel is saying give it to Marvin. This is why I should not be any kind of judge of disputes. All right. Well, there seems to be consensus in favor of Marvin. So Marvin, everybody give Marvin a round of applause. I think that several people got it right around the same time. I think Dennis had it. Certainly Joel knew it. And Marvin had it. So we've got... And Carol had come in there with her letter. All right. Joel can't win anymore. Marvin, you're the wiener. All right, so Marvin, what you can do is... Hey, New Jersey Devil. Hey, didn't I read your comment earlier? I think I shared your comment earlier in the show. I don't know if you were here at that time or not. Thank you for the donation. I know. Freaking Dennis. So Marvin, here's what you do. My email address is jake@blackstoneintel.com. jake@blackstoneintel.com. You can email me which gift you would like. Either I can mail you a Jeff Epstein air freshener that doesn't actually smell. You can get also, as an alternative, either a month free subscription to the Blackstone Report on Substack or Patreon. Okay, so those are your options. So just email me and let me know what you want. If you want me to mail you the Epstein air freshener, you need to give me your address. Okay. And anybody out there, if you're still waiting on something from me, I think I emailed today the people that to let them know I have their stuff on the way, because it was I had a couple delays there. But everybody else, let me know if you haven't gotten something you were supposed to have gotten. Now, we need to also do our drawing for the other prize. The other prize is going to be either, let's see here, it's going to be one of a couple things. Same things already. You have the option of an air freshener. You have an option of the free month of Substack, free channel membership, free Patreon. Next option is a 5-page Blackstone Intel report just for you on any major topic of your choice. Got to be something that I can research and find anything about, but I can write a personal report for you. And then the last option is a 15-minute phone call. If you want to call and chat, I can call you. But of course, that requires me knowing your phone number, and you might not want that, because who knows? I might secretly be working for the man. But anyway, so for this drawing that we're getting ready to do, that's going to be your options. Okay. I think I'm going to switch these out into a bigger jar. I'm going to use this jar instead, because I don't think this is going to shake up very well. There's not enough room. So I'm going to take all of these out of the biohazard, the Blackstone biohazard jar. And we're going to put all of your names into this one. That way it'll shake up better. Come on now. Okay, there we go. All right, here is the jar. I need to get a drum roll or something for this part. All right. Who's it going to be for the grand prize for tonight? All right, I'm not going to look. I'm going to mix it up. You guys ready? The winner of tonight is Mary Kay. Mary Kay, I think, is out of the... I think she said she had to leave earlier. So what I will do, Mary, if you're out there, let me know. But I'll go ahead, because I think that Mary is not here. I'm going to pick a backup in case Mary does not find out that she won. And if it turns out that she contacts me, we'll just have 2 winners. But Mary did a $20 donation, so she got 4 entries. So Mary Kay, congratulations. Email me at jake@blackstoneintel.com for your prize. But let's do a second one, okay? All right, so I got it all here. Dennis is clearly a Fed. Those are fighting words. Okay. All right. I'm not looking. Mixing it up. I got the next paper. And next one is Stephen. So, Stephen, if Mary contacts me, I'm going to give her a prize. But since she's not in right now, the second place is you. So you are a wiener. So, Stephen, I know you've won something in the past, and I can't remember what. Okay, Stephen says I'll take another month of Patreon, right? All right. So, Stephen, let me write that down and extend that. And I haven't put much up this week. I'm going to be putting a lot more out over the next handful of days. All right, so I'm going to put that there. You guys are funny. Now, for the rest of you, even though it's a very small consolation prize, if anyone would like to receive a Blackstone Intelligence postcard, do the same thing. Anyone that entered in, you're welcome to email me at jake@blackstoneintel.com. Say, hey, send me a postcard and give me your address, and I'd be glad to do that. All right, so tonight we went through the story of how Jeff Epstein got busted as a result of a fight between a couple girls at a high school in Florida. We talked about the timeline of how Epstein got in trouble and how that progressed to where we are today. Both of those things I'm going to put out in the next day or two on Substack and Patreon and channel membership. We did our game and Mary won, or not Mary, but Marvin won. Operation Mongoose. Oh, I didn't tell you what Operation Mongoose is. I'm sorry. That would probably be kind of helpful. And anyway, let me find mine. I put together some notes I wanted to share on Operation Mongoose. Maybe I closed that file down. All right. So Operation Mongoose was a covert operation program launched in 1961 under JFK, directed by the FBI, the CIA, oversight from Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Primary goal was to overthrow Castro's government in Cuba. This was after the failed Bay of Pigs invasion that the CIA tried. Tactics included economic warfare. If I remember right, there was like 400 different things that they did, actions they took. Economic warfare, this was everything from sabotaging crops in Cuba, trying to ruin their sugar harvest, stuff like that. Propaganda campaigns, trying to turn the public against Castro. Espionage and covert infiltration, trying to disrupt Cuba from within. And there were a whole bunch of assassination plots. Some of the stuff that they tried to do, they tried over and over to kill Castro. They poisoned his cigars. They set exploding seashells around areas where they knew that Castro liked to dive and swim. And, of course, they didn't get him. I remember down in Miami during the 80s, there was a fanatical hatred of Castro down there. And I'm not saying that people didn't have, valid reasons to hate him, but there was a lot of just extremely strong hatred of Castro. But, I'm not crazy about Castro, but the guy that the CIA had installed in there, Batista, he was not a good guy. The mafia owned Cuba. The CIA was making tons of black op money from the gambling and the prostitution and everything that was going on there. Rich elites and the mafia basically owned Havana. U.S. corporations had taken over a lot of the sugar industry and different industries there. And the common people suffered as a result of this exploitation. So Castro came along and was like, for the people, and they had the big revolution, and then communism wasn't so great after that. But whole lot of what the CIA does around, a whole lot of the problems in the world are direct backlash against colonialism or attempts by the CIA to get in there and flip countries and steal resources on behalf of corporations and wealthy people. The CIA is basically just a for-hire intelligence operation. Council on Foreign Relations gets their marching orders from the elites, and the CIA, they take action to try and make the goal of these people a financial reality. Anyway, Dennis can't even name Joel number 2. Thank you guys so much for your support tonight during the show. I thank you. And if there's anything else, put it in the chat now, because I'm going to wrap things up here in just a moment. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm going to keep the show short tonight. And by short, we are at 2 hours, 43 minutes, which is pretty short for us. But otherwise, I will talk to you guys in just a couple of days or so. We'll do another live stream, and maybe we'll just go ahead and piggyback right off of this Epstein story into what happens next after these opening events. How about that? And maybe I can find another game other than Hangman. Maybe I can find something that flows a little bit faster. We'll see. But thank you to every last one of you out there for your support, whether you donated or not. And hope you guys have a great night. And I will talk with you all very, very soon. Take care.